started the Nashville South? I'm so intrigued.
So, it's really funny. I was never planning on being a singer at all. When I was in high school, I was almost kind of known as the dancer because I was on the dance team.
Okay.
And I used to do musical theater. And so when I did musical theater, they always were like, "Oh, you're the dancer, you're the dancer." Because everybody I was in school with, they were, thank you so much, they were super talented. And then when I went to college and I joined Sensations, then when I was on Sensations and it was all dance team, I was known as the singer. I did try out for The Voice here and there. And so I usually...
Did you get on American Idol?
No, I actually always had better luck with The Voice. And I was really, really close with The Voice. Okay. And I was actually like a day before they were going to fly me out, they cut me. Like I was really, really close. What? Yeah, so close. And I've been close a few times. But it's just like they look for a story. But I do love the show. I would have loved to be on the show. Would have been a great opportunity. But
do you have any backstories from tryouts?
Yeah. Just like I remember going the first time, and I was really, really young before I had ever done, because I've never really taken voice lessons at all. And so I went. And they asked me, I got a call back and I was like so excited, and the producer was looking at me weird, and I was like, well, I've tried out for American Idol a dozen times and I never got even a call back. So he thought it was so weird that I was so excited about that. But I was like, I never even get a call back. So anyway, I get a call back, I go in and they're like, we really like you, but we can't tell if you're nervous, which I was really nervous. They were like, we can't tell if you're really nervous or if your voice just isn't strong enough yet. So, go get a voice coach and we're going to call you to come back.
Oh, wow.
And I was so upset. I remember walking out, I was crying, talking to my mom, and I was like, I blew my chance, all this stuff. And I was like, they see thousands of people a year. They're never going to call me, right? Well, sure enough, that was early in the year. Later that year, they called me and gave me a list of places they were going for callbacks and said, pick a date, let us know when you're coming. Well, at the time, my brother lived in LA, so I was like, let's go to LA, let's do it. So I stayed with him and I tried out in LA. And then that was the time, I think they cut me like the day before.
Did you get a singing coach to help you while you were waiting?
I did. And so that's how I met Roxy Carmadel, and she's from Westwego. And her and I were kind of singing together, and that is what kind of started my singing in bands, because we were posting a lot of things on social media, and someone had reached out to us because they were looking for a singer, and they asked, well, can y'all come try out together? Well, she didn't want to do it. And I was like, well, can I try out on my own?
Right.
And he was like, yeah. And so I was in that band for about a year and a half. It was a variety band based out of Raceland.
Okay.
And then...
what was the name of it?
The Groove. They're still a band.
Okay. I might have seen... I think
you came to see us. Yeah, I think at when it was Vino. Yeah. So I was with them for about a year and a half. So April of 2017 was when I wasn't with them anymore. Got on Facebook one day. I would happen to be friends with the bass player of Nashville South, because his wife actually used to date my uncle back in the day. Small world.
Small world.
Very small world. And I had met him at their very first gig, at Nashville South's very first gig. They were doing a benefit for kids with My Voice Studio. And so that's how I met them. And so they let me sing with them. I had started following them in between. Well, I got on Facebook one day in 2017. He posted something that they were looking for singers. I messaged him. I was like, hey, can I come audition? And I almost didn't do it because I'm normally not the type of person. I'm usually like, I even asked my mom, I was like, is that nervy for me to ask that? And she was like, no. She was like, they don't know that you're looking.
Right.
So, but I've just always been the type, I don't know. I just feel nervy sometimes. So I don't like to ask,
Yeah.
But I was like, is that nervous? She's like, no, do it. So I did it, and first audition, they put me in the band.
Wow.
And I've been with them now for 5 years.
Do you love it?
I do. It's a lot of traveling.
Okay.
It can be a lot. My dating life suffers sometimes because of it. but it's fun. I do love it. And
But I would think being able to meet different people, going to different areas, getting to see like different cultures, trying different foods.
Yes,
That would be really cool.
It is. I've had amazing experiences. Like one of my favorite gigs that we've ever done was in Memphis. We
Yeah, we'll see.
in Memphis we played on the rooftop of the Peabody Hotel, which is the Ducks. Yes.
Oh, the ducks. That's where the
The
ducks
Ducks,
are.
yes.
Oh,
And so they have summer rooftop parties every year.
Oh,
And so we
that's
did a
cool.
summer rooftop party end of July. I think it was like 2018,
That's
2019.
beautiful.
So much fun. Probably my favorite gig that we've ever
Oh,
done.
wow,
That's definitely up there. We've also opened for Sarah Evans in Pearl, Mississippi.
Okay.
We played before Sarah Evans, which was really cool. We also opened for Joe Nichols at the Washington Parish State Fair as well. And that was really cool too. And he was actually running late because his bus broke down. So we had to play longer. They were like, yeah, we'll play longer, no problem. And I was like, I want to meet him though, Loki. But I didn't get to meet him. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
But we have an exciting one coming up too. We're playing at Lafitte Seafood Festival, and Martina McBride is playing the same day as us.
And when is that?
That is next Sunday, so that's the 13th, November 13th,
And where is that?
in Lafitte.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
Yes. So
Anthony's Church?
it's not at St. Anthony's, but we do play at St. Anthony's quite often. Actually, they love us. They book us every year. So yes, we're playing for them twice next year. We're already booked.
Oh, well, cool. That's cool.
Yeah. They actually win a lot of damage for Hurricane Ida. They lost everything. And BJ is a saint, our drummer, and she got a church, I believe it was a church in Georgia, to donate pews.
Oh, cool.
And they went all the way to Georgia, picked them up, and brought them to St. Anthony's or St. Pius. One of them. I know they kind of dual
like
it.
a big family, the band.
We are. I've been with them for 5 years, and my dad loved it. I think my dad retired early just so he could come be a roadie. Honestly, my dad loves it. I think he kind of lives through me with it. He absolutely loves it. Came to every show and was helping set up. They didn't even need to hire a roadie because they had my dad. Honestly, and he loved it though. He would set up our merch booth and would sell T-shirts. And my dad was in sales for his whole life, so he could sell ice to us.
They didn't realize they were getting a tooth.
Oh, my mom loves it too. She comes to everything. She still goes all the time. Yes.
What do you do when you're not with the band?
So in August, I graduated. I got my master's in public health from LSU HSC.
Okay, thank you.
And so my last semester, I did my internship with the Water Collaborative of Greater New Orleans. It's a nonprofit. And we did a water quality testing project of Cancer Alley. So we went up and down the Mississippi River between New Orleans and Baton Rouge and collected water samples of the Mississippi River to test for 3 different chemical contaminants. And then we're releasing our findings on what we found in January. So very interesting work. I absolutely love it. And so after I graduated, they hired me on full time.
Cool.
So we are working on 3 different projects, but generally anything to do with water, that's what we do. So we work to ensure that everyone lives and thrives with water. So we advocate for better stormwater management, green infrastructure, and we also advocate for equitable access to clean and safe drinking water as well.
Cool. And you do that all within Southeast Louisiana?
Yes. And I love my job. It can get a little political sometimes, but it really isn't political when you think about it. The chemicals that we're exposed to every day, bottom line, they affect our health.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people don't want to have that conversation because the plants do provide jobs for a lot of people here, but they're not providing jobs for the people that they're affecting the most, the frontline communities. And so that's what needs to be addressed. But we focus on water, and so right now we're really focusing on a stormwater fee in Orleans Parish. That's what we're advocating for. But we're doing research on the most equitable way to go about it, because right now 60% of Orleans Parish doesn't pay into our drainage system. So a common misconception, your water bill in Orleans Parish does not go towards the drainage at all. The only thing that goes towards drainage is just your property taxes. That's it. So most of that goes towards residents. Places like Oshner, things like that, they don't pay into the drainage system. And so we're advocating for an equitable stormwater fee that everyone will have to pay into based on your impervious surfaces. But they have the option to potentially lower their fee if they install more green infrastructure, because that helps soak up the water.
That's right.
And prevent flooding.
It also said you did a movie.
I knew that was going to come up. Yes. Musical.
Last night,
Yeah.
just to try to get a glimpse of it, but I saw you in the beginning, and I didn't see you for a long time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was why I didn't
When
give.
does the angel come?
Yeah, so the angel comes when they're actually showing the musical itself, and so the angel comes
So
down
they
and
put
speaks to
together a
Jesus.
musical because she's about to lose her. What is it?
It's basically telling, it's telling the story, Jesus' story.
Okay.
And so the angel comes down and speaks to him, and so I played the angel.
Okay. Well, I need to go back.
Yeah, but I had so much fun. They had such talent on I sang with Juan Carlos Hernandez, and he was actually on, I think it was Jay Leno when he was a child, because he was an opera singer.
Oh, wow.
Super talented, and I sang on a track with him. We did It Is Well With My Soul on the track. So it came out beautifully. My favorite part of that project was that song that we did. And
it's in the movie?
it is in the movie.
You're singing it in
Yeah,
the
us
movie,
singing
or
it.
Okay.
But I have to say my favorite memory from that movie was we went to practice one day. Went to practice with our musical director for the film, and we practiced at, I believe it's St. Joseph's on Tulane, close to Tulane and Claiborne.
Yeah, that's St.
Beautiful,
Joseph's, yes.
beautiful church. The acoustics in there are amazing. So it was just the musical director, me, Juan Carlos, and Mark Mouton, who was putting on the movie, and we were there to practice it as well. And I just remember like nailing the song in the church with the acoustics. And we have it on video too.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to share the video with you.
Yeah.
So let go my soul and trust in
Crazy Mark's father had actually passed that day too, but he still came. And he said, y'all saying this just was really a moving
Wow.
experience, and it was so
I like that too.
yeah. I had chills. I have chills talking about it too. I mean, it was just we nailed it that day, and we the acoustics, just the setting, just the four of us in a beautiful place like that, and
It's just perfect.
it was perfect. I loved the recording. I loved what we did for the movie, but that's the memory I'll hold from that and I'm so glad we have it on camera too.
Yeah, so you can watch it.
So,
You would call the band country cover?
country, and we do a few classic rock covers as well, just to kind of mix it up. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but female country is not as popular as male country is.
Yeah.
Not
Why do you
that
think that
bad.
is? I was gonna say, why do you
I
think
hope
that is?
so.
Do you have any of do you have originals that y'all play?
I have one original, and we do play it, not often, but we do play it. It just depends on the venue and, if it fits. Some places just don't want you to play any originals at all.
What's your original?
My original is called One Woman Guy, so it's about a guy who doesn't know how to be monogamous. And so I wrote
it
that.
country?
It is country. I wrote that during the pandemic and recorded it.
Is it on iTunes?
Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. Spotify, YouTube. I think it's on Amazon Music as well. Not sure about iTunes. I'd have to check on that. But I connected with this guy, and he helped me do the production for it. And because I had it written, and I was kind of sitting on it a little bit, and we were talking about writing an album together. And I was like, well, I have this song, and I really think it's a hit. I think it's a good song. But I would need help, making it into a full song. All I have is the chord progression and the lyrics. So I sent it off to him. I had it recorded. I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh yes, this is a hit, 100%."
Wow.
And so, and I've gotten really good feedback from it. My brother says he'll listen to it sometimes and it gets stuck in his head. So it's a little catchy, I think.
I want to download it when
I need to see it.
But we do play it in the band. Not often. It just depends on, like I said, the setting.
Do you play any musical instruments, guitar?
Just rhythm guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm very average. I was taking music lessons for about 2 years, and then my life kind of just got busy with everything going on, so I had to take a pause on it. But I do intend on going back. I was taking guitar and piano. I'd kind of switch back and forth.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, from the same teacher. She was amazing, and I went to her for about 2 years. And then just things kind of started to get a little hectic, so I was like, I need to take a break. And I was even only going once every 2 weeks, and I just wasn't having the time to practice or anything like that. And I was like, I don't want to waste your time because I'm not practicing, so we'll take a little hiatus and I'll come back whenever I can.
For a Saint Station?
Yes.
When was it?
I was a Saint Station from 2013 to 2016, so it was a while ago.
Okay.
About almost 10 years. Oh gosh,
How was
almost
the
10 years ago.
tryout part of
Tryout process. So I actually tried out 3 times before I made it. I was determined that I was going to be on that team. But the coach loved that. Like, she loved when people would come back and try out multiple times. That was, she took notice.
Every year you went back?
Yes. So I tried out when I believe I was a freshman in college the first time I tried out. I was at LSU. I was actually gonna try out for Golden Girls at LSU, and I was using Saint Stations as like a prep. And then I ended up making it to finals for Saint Stations, totally unplanned. Ended up making it to finals, and I got really excited because I thought, oh my gosh, I might actually make this team. And then I got cut like the last round. I was so sad, didn't make the team. So I was like, well, next year I'm going back. Well, I had like my grandmother had passed away the next year when I went back, and I was just in a really kind of a rut. And I was in the process of potentially moving back home because I didn't really like LSU that much. So I got cut the first day. So imagine, I was like, oh man, I really thought I had a good chance this year. And so I go back the third year, and I was like, all right, I am determined. I am going to make this team. And I ended up making it that year. And I remember the year that I made it. I don't think anything else could have gone wrong that year. Like, there was a monsoon outside. It was storming raining the day of the tryout. I burned myself with a curling iron. I had gotten my appendix out like in the January before. And tryouts were in April, and I was like in the hospital. I remember being in the hospital like, is my scar still gonna be there? Like, can I cover it? I mean, this is what I was thinking about, I mean, anything that could have gone wrong that day probably went wrong, but I ended up making it that year. So much fun.
Don't give up.
Yes, do not give up. That's one thing that I've kind of been, it's like when I want something, I don't give up until I get it.
So do you have friends that you still have when you were in your Saint Station era?
I keep up with them, but that is something that I would say is my biggest regret. And I've talked about this a lot recently, is, back in college and when I was on Saint Stations, I would say that I didn't really foster a lot of female friendships. And I would say that's probably my biggest regret, because it's important to have those female friendships. And so, I would go to the functions that I had to go to, but I didn't go to a lot of the things that they were having on the side. And I don't think it was, I don't think it was any of them like purposely leaving me out. It wasn't that. It's just, when you get invited to places and you don't go, people will stop inviting you.
That's right.
And I had a boyfriend at the time. I was with, who eventually became my fiance. I was with him for 8 years, and in my mind that was like, oh, that's it. Like, he was it. I would go and do what I needed to do, and then I'd be with him. And that was all I was worried about. And I look back and I'm like, no, like I should have fostered those relationships. I should have made the time to get to know them and really build those friendships, because a lot of the girls are still friends now. I see them in each other's weddings, and super happy for them. I just wish I would have definitely fostered that. Now I've taken the time to do that. So when me and my ex did break up, that's the one thing I'm super happy that I did. I actually downloaded Bumble BFF. Wait, my best friend, I met her through Bumble BFF.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
See?
That's
I was literally talking to her the whole way here. She was on her way to Baton Rouge. I was driving here, and so we were just catching up because we haven't seen each other in a while. And yeah, she's my best friend.
So interesting.
Through Bumble. Well, I originally downloaded Bumble for the reasons to download Bumble because me and my ex had broken up. I was looking to get back out there. And I was like, I have no friends, like none. And so I downloaded. I was like, all right, let me try Bumble BFF. She was the first girl I met off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's from Hammond. She was the first girl I met off the app, and we have been inseparable since December 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yes.
Cool. That's cool.
That is for an ad for Bumble.
Bumble BFF.
That's right.
Even though the dates might work out, the BFF portion definitely works out. Just so many channels that you can really make a good friend, and if you click, it's just all about making that connection. And so I'm glad I've taken the time to foster those relationships now, because back then
it's what you're working on you right now.
Absolutely, I took the time after we broke up to really focus on me. I did. I went through a lot after we broke up. I was devastated because I spent 8 years with a guy who didn't intend on marrying me. And then after we broke up, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? But I started seeing someone else who absolutely just broke my heart. And so, in between all of that, I was like, I just want to enjoy myself and really kind of work on me. And when we broke up, I took the time to go back and get my master's, because I was like, I moved in with my parents. I was like, this is the perfect time.
Right.
And then I made all those girlfriends. And so now the guy that I'm dating, I met him on Hinge.
Oh, where?
On Hinge.
Okay, so
It's a dating app.
Really?
Yeah.
How long have you been dating?
It's still new, about a month, but I'm feeling very good about it. So it feels different, You know how it sometimes just feels different?
Yeah.
This one feels different. So
Okay, cool.
so it's going really well.
What about who inspires you for music, like music?
Um,
To get you to sing?
So when I was always watched, like when I wanted to sing country music, I was always a Carrie Underwood fan from day one. Like I followed her since 2005 when she won American Idol. But when I was going through all those hardships, like the last 2 years, there's an artist, Carly Pierce. She's a country artist. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she got married and divorced in the same year. And then she wrote an album all about it.
Talk about an emotional roller coaster.
And I listened to that album forwards and backwards, up and down. I have never flown to go, honestly, I had never flown out of the state to see a concert, ever. I flew to Nashville to see her, and I flew to Oklahoma to see her.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
And I mean,
Did it live up?
oh, absolutely. I actually bought meet and greet passes for her as well. And it was so funny because I remember when she first came out, my mom was the one that was like, oh, I love this song. And I was like, But when she released 29, and I was 29 when all of this was going on. And so the name of her album was 29. And because she was 29, she was 29 when she went through it. She's 31 now, but she was 29 when all of this was going on. And I was 29 going through, I mean, I didn't get married, but I was engaged and we broke it off. And the fact that, I mean, all of it just resonated. And then, I went through a heartbreak right after that, and it just all resonated. And so what I like about her is that she writes from the heart and writes from experience and writes from her hardships. And I think that that's what people resonate with the most. And so if I ever do continue to write, which I hope to do one day, I want to write an album someday. I just want to follow what she did, just write from experience. I think that's how you really just speak to people, honestly.
I think that's what keeps it genuine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to write from experience, because you don't realize how many other people go through what you've actually been through, and you don't know how many people you're actually helping.
I mean, that album was so relatable for me. It really was.
Do you have a favorite song you like to perform?
Ooh, that's a good one. So everybody loves the Shania Twain stuff, obviously. So that's really fun to perform because other people get into it. But right now, and it changes often because, we'll go through where we add new stuff. So the new stuff gets really fun. Right now, I really like Jody Messina. I'm on a Jody Messina kick right now. But if you would have asked me this like 6 months ago, I probably would have told you like a Mary Morris song. So it changes. But because we play the same stuff, you know, all the time until we add new stuff. So we just added a new Jody Messina song. So
So how often do y'all get together to practice? Or do y'all practice?
we do.
Okay.
We do. Not often, but we do. Probably, we haven't practiced in a while, but we're looking to practice soon. Probably maybe once every 3 to 6 months we'll practice. And we'll add like 3 new female songs and 3 new male songs at the same time.
So there's a male lead singer as well.
Yes. Yeah.
You practicing basically every weekend. Do y'all have a show almost every weekend? Or
Pretty much every weekend.
So that's what you would basically.
That's why I say it makes my dating life hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm gone almost every
Y'all
weekend.
ever have a weekend or a month, I guess, where you take a break and it's no performances? So you
It's mostly around this time of the year. We usually don't perform after Thanksgiving. We'll usually take that weekend off. Usually don't perform after Christmas. We'll usually take that weekend off. New Year's is a toss-up. It depends. New Year's is usually a high-paying weekend for most gigs and for most bands. And so if a gig is not willing to give what we think, then we're just not going to play. And sometimes, like, the places, they want us to travel far. And so we'll need overnight accommodation. And some places don't want to provide that even. So it just depends on what is available. And our drummer does all of our bookings, so she makes that call. And we trust her, you know, with all of that. But as of right now, we will have 4 weeks off. We'll have Christmas weekend off, New Year's weekend off, and then we'll have the first 2 weekends off in January. So it'll be a nice break.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to it a little bit because we travel. I mean, we travel a lot. And you know, it was a lot of fun when my parents were coming all the time because I'd have them all the time. So, and they're not coming as much right now. So it gets a little lonely. But my band family, they're really a band family. We don't fight. We don't argue. I mean, at the end of the day, like, this is just supposed to be fun. So we really, I can honestly say, like, we don't argue. We really don't. There is no
y'all
drama.
have fun together.
Oh, absolutely, we do.
What's some behind the scenes fun?
I don't know if they'd be appropriate for camera sometimes because, like, we all make inappropriate jokes.
Oh, it's fun.
Oh, like that's what she said jokes. Like, I mean, like, our piano player as a joke, because we're always in hotels, as a joke, he bought a black light to bring the and so, like, that's just one of the recent things you know.
Video when they do the black light?
He posted pictures, like, in his hotel room of some of the stuff he was finding. And I was like, I could have gone my entire life without knowing that.
But I bet you will.
And then he just started, like, what made it funny and inappropriate was he started, like, creating, like, scenarios based on where he was finding everything. And I was like, please stop. Please stop.
Okay.
Always make the that's what she said jokes too.
I have a fun one for you. If there was a genie and you were granted 3 wishes, what would they be?
Anything, like, personal or professional? So recently I've been talking about wanting to start my own business. So I kind of want to do that, but I'm on the fence. I think about either being a wedding planner because I feel like I'd be really good at that.
Did you see our interview with the wedding planner?
No, but that's what made me kind of start thinking about it. I need to watch it because I saw that y'all interviewed her,
Allie.
and so I do want to go back and watch it because
Hi, Allie.
I do want to go back and watch it because I saw that and I was like, you know, growing up I always wanted to be a wedding planner. And so that's recently I've been toying with the idea. Does she? Oh, I'm gonna have to take it.
Yeah. Go watch the video. She'll tell you all about it.
I'll have to go watch that.
Okay, so wedding planner.
Or my other idea was starting a boutique, but an affordable boutique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I find I'm a person, I like clothes. I like to spend money on clothes, but sometimes if I go to a store and it's a dress and it's like $100, and I know that you pay for what you get a lot of the times, but sometimes I just think that $100 for a dress is a little too ridiculous, especially if it's just for like a casual night out or whatever, and especially for stage. Like, I try to find flashy things because I'm on stage. That's the only time I can wear the fun stuff, you know? And so I have a pair of rhinestone boots, for example. I paid that my mom got for $30 for me.
Okay.
Whereas I bought a pair from Dillard's that were almost $200.
Yeah.
And I've gotten, now granted I've worn the ones my mom got me more, but I've gotten so many more compliments on the short rhinestone boots versus the ones that I paid $200 for at Dillard's. Nothing against either one, and they're also unique. Like it would just depend if, you know, the more expensive boots were your taste, but that's my thing about it. I just, and you hear people probably order from Shein a lot, and you want to know why? It's because it's cheap.
It's affordable. It is so affordable.
It's
and it's
cheap.
Yes,
You
and
get,
the clothes are
oh
really cute.
my.
I know.
I shop from there all the time. I bought a romper from there. It kind of looks like a dress, but it's a romper. It's red, and I've worn it for, actually I think one of the pictures I sent you.
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, I wore it in there, and so I've worn it for a few different gigs. I wore it for Strawberry Festival. I have gotten so many compliments on that romper. I paid $25 for it. I mean, you can't beat that.
That's right. That's right. I will say this because I'm going to a gala on the 3rd, and I'm looking for a dress, and I actually found this dress at Saks. The dress is like $800.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this fiscally responsible? Like, you know, how many times am I going to wear this dress?
Right.
You know what I mean? Then I started looking at, like you said, Shein, and it's like, oh, that dress is $50. Like,
And it's
okay,
probably similar. It's like you can't beat it. Like, and you know, for something like that, like $100, $200, I can see, but $800.
I know exactly. That's like I'm like,
That's a lot.
You're $800.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You
And
know, with those 3 wishes, you could probably do all 3. I mean, you can have your own business.
That's right.
You could do an online boutique.
I would like to do that. It's just
And then
I would have to.
I mean, the wedding planner on the weekend.
I know.
In between gigs.
Yeah. And I have so much.
It would be hard.
It would definitely be difficult. But I mean, I already don't have weekends anyway, so it's not like it would change. It's not like it would change anyway.
Streets, do you get notice and be like, oh my gosh.
Rarely, but sometimes it does happen. I went on a double date at Desi Vega's earlier in the year, and someone was like, "Are you in Nashville South?" And I was like, "Oh," and they were like, "Oh, my girlfriend loves y'all." And I was like, "Oh, really?"
That must make you feel
It's
good.
fun. It's super fun, and it gets exciting because I wouldn't expect that. I mean, but it's so much fun when that happens. It is.
That's cool.
Well, thank you so much for coming to brunch with us.
Thanks for having
I
us.
hope you liked everything.
Oh, yes.
Like I said,
All right.
everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Romantically.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks.